As crypto markets bounce back from what seemed like certain doom just a few days ago, along with the crash that came right in tandem with what felt like some earth-shaking news from the Biden administration about new tax reform, well, just like I told you, this was merely a whale game trying to shake you out of your coins. But most importantly, I've been a broken record about the importance and potential of Ethereum as a base layer protocol for the future of finance and an asset that simply must go up based on its fundamentals. Today, we're going to be talking about what's going to happen with ETH London, which is quite possibly the most important change to Ethereum ever. What ETH London brings to the table is not only a core change to the fundamental tokenomics, the economic policy of Ethereum, but it also brings in a huge relief valve to the gas crisis that has been plaguing the network for months and years. So if you guys are excited to hear why I believe Ethereum reaching staggering new all-time highs is just the beginning of the story of ETH's dominance here in crypto land, then go ahead, destroy that like button, and remember, as always, each and every comment on this video is entered to win your very own hardware wallet. Now, for over a year, I've been telling you that the easiest money in crypto is just to buy Ethereum, and that's because institutions have not yet discovered the magic of Ether, and they soon will. As Bitcoin got adopted as a treasury reserve asset, the narrative for the last year or so has all been about the US dollar, inflation, money printing, and Bitcoin. Well, the world's about to discover that Ethereum is not only, in my opinion, a very good store of value, but it is also what should be considered the base layer to the future tech stack that will power the financial world, the insurance world, the medical world, any important information-driven industry, which, as time has gone on, is pretty much all of them. And that's why institutions, as I warned people they would, have started turning their attention to Ethereum. And just like we saw this absolutely massive explosion driving Bitcoin up to a multi-trillion-dollar asset on the back of the interest from institutions, we too will see the same growth when institutions turn their attention to Ethereum and start realizing how transformative and powerful this asset is. Here we have a tweet from Santiago R. Santos, who's a general partner at Parabolic Capital. And Santiago says, I've had multiple recent discussions with large tech funds about taking an interest in crypto. So far, most get Ethereum and its central role in the digital economy, DeFi plus. Bitcoin is not even in the picture. No, I'm not a maxi of ETH, BTC, or anything else. I just find this pattern interesting, as 1 year ago, these conversations invariably would be centered around Bitcoin, but now new folks are getting the value prop of Ethereum, largely due to the rise of DeFi as the first killer use case. Now, I feel like I've been like a broken record about this, which is that what Ethereum's doing for simply being able to deploy your money for yield is something that is going to attract the biggest money bags in the world. The more money you have, the more small percents of yield make the absolute biggest difference. You know, when you're talking about multi-trillion-dollar wealth firms, the game is preservation. The game is to avoid erosion. And so having a reliable yield, especially in liquid assets, not property that's really hard to sell or stocks that take a while and are public when you liquidate, can have ripple effects, but liquid assets that are really easy to get in and out of, like stablecoins. This is a revolution, and this is what ETH promises. I've been saying it's going to happen, and institutions are finally starting to take notice. So if you think that the buying pressure for Ethereum is over, in my opinion, it hasn't even begun yet. We also have the Weiss Ratings crypto arm, Weiss Crypto, explaining once again that Ethereum will be the next big focus for large institutions and corporations. Again, this is a set it and forget it play. The more Ethereum you have, I believe, the better off you are for the next chapter of Web3, of crypto, of development of the world in general. Behind Bitcoin, I believe Ethereum is the easiest bet in crypto, and I also believe it has more upside. And if this doesn't say it all, let's look at the MetaMask monthly active users list, which, as you can see, this is a parabolic chart. If you're in the tech world, or you've built a tech product, or you've tried to raise money in the tech world, you'll know that almost the entirety of your valuation is going to be based on how many users you're able to hold and keep active in your network. This chart says it all. that the Ethereum network is starting to have more active users than ever before at a parabolic growth rate. And that to me is why Ethereum is so valuable. And I say it time and time again. Ethereum's not more valuable because it's faster, cheaper, or easier user experience. It's more valuable because it has the developers, it has the users, and it keeps growing. And that's why this EIP 1559 proposal, as well as the ETH London hard fork, is going to potentially allow for these users to have a way better user experience, which would be able to hold these new users and even grow new ones at a more dramatic rate. And furthermore, the ETH 2.0 deposit contract now has 4 million Ethereum inside of it, which is over $10 billion, which again shows the commitment that people have towards the future of this network. The more people locking funds up in this contract, the better for Ethereum, the more scarce the asset. And in some senses, this makes Ethereum and its issuance policy already stilted in a deflationary direction. The more people lock up their Ethereum in staking contracts and in DeFi, the less Ethereum there are out there in the world to be sold. This trend keeps on growing with DeFi, and it makes Ethereum as an asset more and more scarce, not more and more plentiful. And this brings us perfectly into the conversation about EIP 1559 and the long-awaited ETH London hard fork. Let's dive in and talk about why ETH London is such a big deal. First of all, before we talk about ETH London, I just wanted to highlight this tweet by Anthony Sassano saying EIP 1559's journey to mainnet. Now, EIP 1559, this is an absolute massive change, and this is kind of the bread and butter of the ETH London hard fork, though there are other pieces, other components. But essentially, this began as a paper on blockchain resource pricing published by Vitalik Buterin on August 8th, 2018, at the beginning, or just as the bear market was starting here. The fee market change issue was open on 7th November 2018 by Vitalik. EIP 1559 was created and specified on April 13th, 2019. And it goes live on July 14th, 2021. So you can see here, this is the process of decentralized governance and upgrades. And to have a network as important as Ethereum, even someone like Vitalik can't get through a change, no matter how important it might be, without going through a significant amount of vetting. And this kind of process and procedure, again, to me, adds a ton of legitimacy and support for the long-term vision of ETH as a true base layer, a true piece of technology that is here to serve the world and is not really governed by any individual. Because Vitalik actually spent 3 years getting this proposal implemented and running it through the necessary steps to actually build it out properly. But on to the good stuff. The London hard fork tentatively scheduled for July 14th. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about EIP 1559. We've talked about it several times on this show, but for those of you who are not familiar or those of you who need a little more information, which is probably all of us, this is what EIP 1559 does. The authors of this are Vitalik himself and several other leading devs in the ETH community. So London's main event, EIP 1559, sparked some debate in the community, with the most opposition coming from miners who stand to lose revenue after its implementation. Currently, miners receive compensation in the form of block subsidy rewards and gas fees. With the current gas prices far outpacing block reward consumption, most consider this inefficient, unplanned, and ultimately incompatible with Ethereum's long-term goals. Essentially, the fees were not supposed to be the main dish for miners. The block rewards were supposed to be the main dish for miners, just like is the case with Bitcoin. And now the fee structure becoming the main dish for miners is really incompatible. It doesn't fit with the way Ethereum is supposed to be set up. It actually incentivizes all these bad behaviors and not good behaviors. I'm not going to go into how fee structurings are bad for the network. We've talked about that on other episodes, but just know this is not the way it should be set up. This is a very backwards way to set up the network. And so encouraging the right behaviors out of miners is part of the growth of the network. On its own, EIP 1559 will not meaningfully reduce gas fees paid by users. It will, however, burn the base fee, smooth out gas fluctuations, make gas more predictable, and provoke a better user experience within most wallets. Incidents of overbidding will be vastly diminished, so in a sense, some will pay less gas. Effectively, EIP 59 will divide gas payments into two categories, which is the base fee and the tip. So the base fee will actually fluctuate with the goal of targeting a 50% utilization of the network. Don't worry about what this means. Just understand that there is a fee now that is going to be paid with every Ethereum transaction that will always be burned. This means that with every usage of Ethereum's network, the actual amount of Ethereum in the world gets reduced slightly. And that is extremely good for the Ether asset. Right now, new Ethereum come out into the world with each block, and that's actually going to go on forever. So there is actually natural inflation within the Ethereum network. But now, with the base fee burning, this will reverse the inflation in Ethereum and actually make Ethereum deflationary, meaning that there will be less and less Ethereum in the world over time. And this is at a time, like we said, where Ethereum and MetaMask users are going parabolic, and the actual demand for Ethereum's network is going up and up and up every day. This is an amazing combination of increased demand and lowering supply, which to me means very simply that Ethereum has some serious hardcore moon times ahead. Just to break it down, increasing demand and decreasing supply is the promise of EIP 1559. But of course, growing the Ethereum price is not really the only goal here. It's actually to improve the user experience by lowering the amount of gas paid to the network and making it so that most transactions can just pay the gas fee instead of exorbitant fees, which is what we pay now. There's also EIP 3198. Essentially, this is just an op code. All you need to know is that it's good for 1559. It's just like a tag along. And then we also have EIP 3238, and this is something called the difficulty bond. Now, as Ethereum transitions from a proof of work network to a proof of stake network, there needs to be a moment in time where you kind of move house over to the new model, which is going to be a staking model. And this is being accelerated by something called the Ice Age, or the difficulty bond, which was originally scheduled for Q2 2022, but it's being moved up to the end of the year 2021. What this means is that at one point, at one block, it will switch and the difficulty for miners will go through the roof, meaning the cost to mine Ethereum will become incredibly expensive. There will become a difficulty bomb, as they call it, which will wipe out most of the proof of work miners and make people choose that if they're going to mine Ethereum, they're going to do it through staking, meaning that the only way to actually get residual benefits from Ethereum is to run your own staking or validator node, which requires at least 32 Ethereum. Obviously, there's ways to stake with much less Ethereum, which we've talked about many times, but that's the idea here, is this forces people to go from the mining world over to the staking world. So that's EIP 3238. And the opinion here is, by the author of this article, accelerating the timeline after miners failed their show of strength movement is effing Chad. This really shows you that the miners are not in control. The users, the overall invisible hand here that wants the best for Ethereum, is actually running the show. And this shows that essentially this movement is happening. This push getting accelerated is extremely good for Ethereum, and once again will move Ethereum closer to a scalable low-fee experience. So in the time leading up to Ethereum's long-awaited London update, it's hard to imagine that any of these changes are truly priced into the market. If that was the case, Bitcoin would have gone on a run far before its last halving, but that's just not how the market works. Crypto works in cycles, and when these big changes happen, people believe it when they see it. And as Ethereum's tokenomics change, as the fees to the networks change, as the L2 and sharding and scalability and ZK rollups start rolling out on the network, more and more utility, value, better tokenomics, all of these things will have compounding effects together. It's not so simple as one upgrade or two upgrades. It's a series of better user experience, lower fees, actual burning of Ethereum, a movement towards staking, which reduces the supply of Ethereum out there on the market. All of these things as Ethereum's user base and development network continues to soar. This is one of the best moments for Ethereum that we've had, one of the most promising eras for Ethereum that we've seen in quite some time. And like I've said, I've been an absolute broken record about Ethereum since it bottomed out and DeFi started to take over. It's so clear that what DeFi brings to the world is a huge painkiller, a hugely necessary step forward in the financial world, and that the most important transactions, the highest value transactions, well, they want to find a home on Ethereum. For that reason, I'm extremely bullish on Ethereum. I'm extremely excited for the ETH London update. And as we move forward and roll out things like Optimism, roll out things like Starkware and Immutable X, get to the difficulty bomb that forces us towards ETH POS, these are things that will have incalculable and compounding effects on the market. For that reason, I'm extremely long and strong on Ethereum for the coming months, years, and even decades. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, go ahead, give me a thumbs up. As always, if you want more content like this, make sure you subscribe and put that bell notification on. That way you're made aware whenever I put out new videos. As always, I encourage you to follow me on Twitter. I'm doing all kinds of different content over there. Sometimes I'm calling altcoin gems over there, and I don't have time to make videos, so you're definitely gonna wanna follow me on Twitter at LEOTrades. The link for that is in the description. Remember, each and every comment on this video is entered to win your very own hardware wallet. With that said, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.